There's nothing I love more than dicks and card tricks. Card tricks, yeah. So today I'm going to show you guys a trick that could be done with any deck at any time, anywhere. We're all been in that situation where somebody hands the deck that looks like it's been through an Evan era toilet after a particularly challenging Taco Bell binge. Well, we have to perform in these situations, and this is a trick you could do anytime, anywhere, in whatever sort of situation you have where you just have some cards. It doesn't even have to be cards. You could use coasters, you could use napkins. It could be done with anything, but it's more effective done with playing cards. So you have this conglomeration of paper mixed and hopefully shuffled to your heart's content here until the spectator's satisfied. And you have them cut the deck into 3 piles, just like that. So we're going to take the top card of each pile, just like this. And now the spectator is told to obviously you turn around in this scenario here to make it more fair, because if you were looking directly at the situation, then you would know exactly what to do here. So the spectator is told to look at any one of the cards that they want and remember that card, because that's going to be their card. So let's say the spectator goes for this card right here, which happens to be the 9 of hearts. They remember the 9 of hearts and they put it back face down. And you say, you know what, just to make sure, because you did change the positioning of the 9 of hearts a little bit, switch the other 2 that you did not touch and just switch them. So the spectator does that. So everything looks, different than when you previously are turned around. So there's no way that you could know whichever card they happen to have thought of here. So when you turn around, you do your best impression here, and you put your hands over the cards. And you say, "Oh man, think of the card that you turned over. No, sorry, think of the card you were thinking of. Think of the card you were thinking of. Oh boy, the card you were thinking of. Oh boy, is the 9 of hearts. 9 of hearts." And the spectator says, "What?" Yeah, and you go, "Yeah, that's what I thought." And then everyone turns into, boy, a Burger King orgy. That's what it turns into at that point. So this is a hot mathematical principle here that's been around for ages. First time I saw this was in Magic for Dummies, which is the close relative of its predecessor, Magic for fucking retards. This is one of the tricks from there. I think it was done with coasters. I'll have the proper crediting in the comments or in the description if you look at that. So this is an old mathematical principle. Now, you saw the best case scenario for this trick. That's not going to happen every time. But when it does happen, guess what? You have a miracle, because you don't even have to turn over any sort of turn over the cards, which is what would have to happen in the other scenario. Spoiler alert. So here, all we're doing is we have a known card on top of the deck. So after the shuffle, it's very easy to look at the bottom card, shuffle this card to the back, and continue off. And now you have a card that you know at the top of the deck. That's the first order of business here. Now when the spectator cuts off 3 packets, because of your clever placement, you know that this card here is going to be the top card, the one that you peeked at. So you take off these cards as if it was a completely free choice. You rearrange the deck here, and now you're back in that position of the classic trick here. Now here's a couple of different scenarios, because you know the position of the top card. And because hopefully you're doing this trick in a situation where you have a deck that is grimy and dingy, you have also been careful to note a particular imperfection on the back of the card. Not that the cards are marked, but you have a imperfection here on the back of the card that you remember. In this case, it happened to be a little smudge right there that I happen to note on the back of this card that isn't present on the other card. See if you know, there's no smudge there. There's no smudge there. There's a noticeable smudge right there. So what that allows me to do is that allows me not to have to turn over the cards to know where the position of the 7 of clubs is. You see the hotness here? Oh boy, this is where it gets intense. I suggest you take out a piece of paper and a pencil, because this is going to get, so fucking hot. So here I know the 7 of clubs, and I know this card has a blemish here. So when I turn around, there's a couple of different scenarios that could take place. If the spectator happens to look at the 7 of clubs and switch the other 2, much like in the performance, guess what? You don't have to do anything. You turn around, you see the blemish, you don't have to turn the cards face up. You already just put your hands over the cards and say, oh, your card is a 7 of clubs. And think of where it is. Think of where it is. It's right there. So you have a miracle in that case. Now, that's not going to happen all the time. That happens 1 out of 3 times. That's right. Mathematics here. So if the spectator happens to look at a different card, it doesn't matter because the trick is going to be impressive nevertheless. So here, let's pretend that the spectator looked at the middle card, which is the 3 of hearts. I'm going to leave this card face up for the sake of posterity here. So the instructions, if you remember, were look at one of the cards and remember it. Now switch the other 2 that you didn't pick so that when I turn around, all the cards are in sort of different positions. So I don't know that you moved a particular card. So they'll switch these 2. Now, when I turn around, guess what I'm going to know? I'm going to look over here and see that there's no blemish in the card here. So I'm going to say, oh, shit, I guess I'm going to have to do scenario B. Scenario B is that I have to turn over all the cards here because I know that the card they picked is not going to be the 7 of clubs. However, the 7 of clubs being over here tells me everything that I need to know about the trick. Because the spectator has switched the position from its original location to here, I know they didn't pick the 7 of clubs, and I know that they didn't pick where the 7 of clubs came from, which is over here, which makes the only card that the spectator could have touched being the middle card, the untouched card, or the unswitched card, the middle card. You see how that makes sense? See, the card started here, right? The spectator looked at the middle card. They put it back, then they switched the 2 cards they didn't peek at. So in this case, I know the 7 of clubs started here. I know that it's here, which means that the only other thing the spectator could have done was switch these 2, which means that the card that they peeked at is a card in the... You guys get it. You're a smart bunch, right? You wouldn't be subscribed looking at me at pigcake.me and being a hot patron if you didn't know this, right? If you weren't intelligent. So that's another scenario. So you have 2 scenarios there. What's the last possible scenario? That the spectator happens to look at this card over here. And if they look at this card over here, then you're in the same situation because they're going to switch the other 2 that they didn't peek at. They're going to have peeked at the 2 of clubs. So now when you turn around, you notice, oh, the blemish is gone. So I'm going to have to turn the cards over. Now when you turn them over, you notice that the 7 of clubs is in the middle, which could only mean that the spectator has switched it with the card that was directly next to it, which means that, oh, they switched these 2. So guess what? The card that they're thinking of is the 2 of clubs. Now, what you do lack in these other 2 scenarios is that you have to turn the cards face up. That's what you lack in these 2 scenarios. I think it's still a strong trick because you're still able to gauge the card they're merely thinking of just by whatever the fuck this is. So that's what you lose in that scenario. However, in the scenario that you do turn around and you notice that they haven't messed with your initial top card, guess what? You have a miracle because not only are you able to tell them the card they're thinking of, you're also able to tell them where the card is located. So that's hot. But most of the time, you're going to have to turn the cards over and note where the 7 of clubs is in relation to the other card. So that's the hot trick. You could do that anytime, anywhere with an Evan era Taco Bell shit deck. You could do it anytime. The deck doesn't have to be complete. And if you want, you don't even have to do this with playing cards. You don't even have to do... You could have 3 business cards that the spectator looks at. They do the same thing. You could do it with 3 cups. I think that's how it was described also in a different book, now that I remember. But you have different cups that you switch. So you have a ball under the cup and they switch the... You could do this with anything. Just use your imagination and run wild. Boy, Evan era and Taco Bell. So that's the trick. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to go figure out different ways to use gum wrappers to facilitate contraception. Oh boy, what a hot trick that was. Not as hot as you clicking on that Patreon. Go ahead, support your local pig magician. And also, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe already. Don't be, as they say, a cunt.
I'll see you again. When I 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 see you again.